The basic structure of a mediation is when two people have decided that they're going to hire one neutral mediator to help them reach agreements. So when you're thinking about how custody works in the mediation context, the focus is going to be on the two parents trying to reach agreements with the help of the mediator that will work for them and their children. So the overarching thing that you need to know about how custody works in mediation is that the two of you are going to be trying to reach agreements on how custody should work for your kids. So in a mediation, you're not going to have the things that we have in divorce litigation to help people figure out custody. You're not going to have the court involved in a family services evaluation to give you some ideas about custody. You're not going to be working with a guardian ad litem. So what happens when you're not exactly sure how custody should work in your case? Well, I've done mediations where I've brought in a mental health professional that has experience on children's development to help parents think about a custody and parenting plan that might work for them. One of the things that I like to tell our clients who are in a mediation is that at the end of the day, we're going to come up with an agreement that the two of you reach here, right, in this room with me, the mediator. But we do have to bring it to court at the end of it. And the court has to find that how we did custody in the context of the mediation, that the court has to decide that it believes that that is in the children's best interest. So one of the reasons it's important to always work with a mediator who's a very experienced family law practitioner is that they know how courts tend to view custody. You could come up with a custody agreement that the two of you parents love, but what happens if the court won't accept that agreement and make it a formal court order? You've kind of wasted a lot of time trying to come up with it, right? So your mediator, although he or she can't give you legal advice because they're acting in the role of a neutral mediator, what they can do is help provide you with some legal information about how courts tend to view custody so that you can make sure that the agreement that you're reaching for your children is more or less in line with how the court tends to view children's best interests. In a custody mediation, just like in a litigated custody matter, what the court is looking at is the children's best interest. Now, I just said the court. Why am I talking about the court when we're talking about a mediation? Megan, the whole reason I'm in a mediation is to stay out of court. Why are you talking about judges again? The answer is that even if you mediate your custody dispute, ultimately, we have to bring that agreement that you reach in your mediation before a judge, and a judge has to make a ruling that it's in your children's best interest. That's why it's so important to work with an experienced mediator who knows family law and knows how judges tend to view custody, because they will be able to give you guidance on whether or not the agreement that you're thinking about is going to be seen by the court as something in the children's best interest. If I am choosing a mediator, one of the things I want to look for is a mediator who is a family law practitioner who understands how the courts tend to view financial settlements and parenting in your state. I also want to look at someone who has a lot of connections in the mental health community, somebody that can help bring in people if you need help, support, understanding, or deciding on financials or custody. That can be a really important part of how you build your team, is bringing in resources to help you understand things better so that you can be empowered to make better decisions. Which gets into the final thing that I would really focus on looking for. That's that you want a mediator who really gets creative. So there are two skill sets here. You want an experienced family law practitioner, and you want someone that went through a mediation training course. The skills aren't exactly the same. Being a lawyer and an advocate is a little bit different than being a neutral who helps people reach decisions. You want someone trained in both. But the other thing that you want is you want someone creative. You want someone flexible who can custom tailor your mediation to you. If you and your spouse are on the same page on parenting, great. Maybe you don't need to talk to someone about how to structure parenting. But say one of you has a lot of knowledge about the family finances and one of you doesn't have any and really feels like they're having a hard time making the right decisions for themselves because they're just less familiar with the family's finances. Well, you want a mediator who can help you bring someone on to sort of level the playing field so both spouses involved in the mediation are happy, confident, and able to make decisions. If you have a mediation and custody is one of the issues that you're really focused on going into that mediation, we'd welcome a conversation with you about how we could design a mediation that really works for you, your co-parent, and your children.